Do, do. All right, everybody. Dan and I just watched the vice presidential debate, the 2020 vice presidential debate. We did record ourselves watching it, but we want to have something immediately to go up. I don't know if we're going to upload that or if it's going to get struck down or whatever. There might be an audio-only version of us talking through the debate. We did a lot of listening, but a lot of joking, a lot of goofs, a lot of gaffes. You know, it's always worth it. It's always worth it. Just to hear, like, I mean, do you hear my voice right now? You see how drunk I am? Yeah, I've definitely been drinking some Monkey Shoulder.
Ooh.
Shout out to Big Paul. Killing it, buddy.
Killing it.
Well, I drank some last night too. It was my birthday, so. So if you listen to the audio version of me and Dan, that's a theme, and it's been a theme of pretty much my entire life for the past 6 months. Okay, fight night, Dan. We're coming in. What are your preconceptions about this before it happened? What did you think? Did you have some sort of notion of how it would go?
I mean, just hearing Pence speak during the pandemic, because I was watching a lot of those daily briefings. He was the leader of the task force. I expected him to do well. He was always good at speaking to the media and was pretty poised. So I was interested. I thought that he was going to be able to handle Kamala because he's not an emotional person. Like Trump is very emotional and gets kind of upset. Pence gets stern. He doesn't get mad. Like Pence gets stern. He's like your dad.
Yeah.
And Trump's like your drunk uncle.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. And it's I don't know. Yeah, I thought he was going to be able to do well. And yeah.
Well, I was not. I guess I just didn't remember how he did last time because when he did was it Tim Kaine who he debated?
I don't even know. I don't remember who the fucking.
Well, I know his last name is Kaine. I know his last name is
Sure.
He is the Mike Pence of the Democrats.
Just better than Kamala, probably.
Like Mike Pence looks like he came out of a fucking Republican factory. You know what I'm saying? And he's polished and he's poised and he has the right answers to answer what is being said. Now, that doesn't mean people are going to agree with what he says, but he has the right answer. Going into this, I just honestly was not sure. I knew Kamala Harris is smug. She's not a very good debater. She does not present herself very well. She is if you watch interviews with her, if you watch the primary debates, you could see that she
with
just does
Stephen
not.
Colbert. It was a debate.
She was a debate. Well, she did it even a few times tonight, where she just reverts to this cackle thing, the smug cackle, where you're like, I'm not going to answer the question. I'm just going to laugh my way through it. Not quite that bad. Not as bad as the Colbert moment, when you're like, didn't you call him a fucking racist?
I think it's like a nervous.
It's like a nervous tick, yeah.
It was a debate. Yeah, well, I think it's something to do with a nervous tick, or when you're like you said, nervous tick. Yeah, fine, uncomfortable. They do. People do weird shit. But I kind of felt that, calling it straight out, Trump is the leader of the nasty boys. He is really good. But and this is why you should vote for Trump. If anything, it proves why you really should, in my opinion.
Because if he dies, Mike Pence is probably okay.
Well, it's not even necessarily that, but I think he brings the poise and the balance to the Trump candidacy that we don't get to see every day.
Well, I mean, vice presidents often take a pretty far back seat. Pence kind of no different until coronavirus, until COVID-19, but. He's not an embarrassment like Joe Biden was. Joe Biden was literally pulled off of the campaign trail, literally put in a fucking closet for years, because you're like, every time you go out, you say something fucking weird. You insult people. This is one of these things that has been memory hold about the Obama administration. Joe Biden.
I barely knew he existed.
No, he didn't exist.
Yeah.
in the fucking Obama administration. He did not exist. He was there to be there. That's it. Every time he is still the same gaffe machine 8 years ago that he is today. Like nothing has changed in that. Only it's actually worse now because his cognitive abilities clearly are not like he's not as sharp as he used to be. But yeah, I didn't know. I was very curious. I was curious how to go. I thought it would be boring. And what I got was actually something that had like substance and it was kind of more interesting, more actually based in like reality and policy than the presidential debate was.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is a better this was a better presentation of the both the Biden and the Trump campaigns, like what their actual platforms are. This actually presented it better than the presidential debate did.
I agree, but I also disagree because I think the way the questions were framed were way different in the presidential debate.
Oh, and actually, I'll give this. The moderator totally surprised me. She did a great job. She was even keeled. I thought the questions were fair.
Most of them,
for the most part, but Pence, he was smart enough not to fall into traps.
Well, I think like the Atlantic question, which they didn't let him respond initially, which was bullshit.
Yeah, but he used the format and did.
Yes, he did.
He figured it out.
And he also bullied over the time a couple times, but that's because I think you kind of have to. I think you know that's going to happen. But my problem with both of these debates is this format it kills conversation. You know, like these debates, you can still have a structured thing, but why is it an hour and a half? Why? You know,
because
it's
people are busy, dude. I mean, people got a lot.
Sean, shut up.
That's reality. Did you want somebody?
Sean,
you need to give me a commercial.
Stop.
No.
Sean,
you need to give people a commercial.
No, you don't.
A log line. Be like, what's your pitch? What's your elevator pitch? That's what it is.
Hold on. No, that's bullshit. It's bullshit. And the reason why it don't interrupt, please. It's bullshit because people will go listen to a fucking Joe Rogan podcast for 4.5 hours. Yeah. People drive, people go places, people sit at work and listen to music. If you can put it in a long range format, I guarantee you.
How many people listen to a Joe Rogan podcast on average, and how many people complete it? Do we even have those numbers?
I don't know what
I'll just grant you YouTube and iTunes. Like how many downloads in YouTube?
50 million.
Okay, 50 million. There's 320 million people in the country.
Okay. How many people watched tonight or the first debate? 15 million? 12 million?
They said 70 million altogether.
Okay, so 70 million. But Joe Rogan gets you're missing the point. What I'm talking about is long form content is the future. People like long form content when it's about important subjects or things that they're interested in. And if you're going to tell me that people aren't interested in hearing politicians speaking openly and candidly,
I think if each of them went on separately and gave their pitch, like you would have an interesting dynamic there.
You could do right? That's what you do. But
I do think a debate like in these formats, the way they do it, it does have a purpose. It does have you need to be able to succinctly explain to me your plans and what you want and how you're going to achieve it. Because there is a log line for everything, and that is what you're doing. So this is for the general public. This is for the mass audience.
I hear you.
And then you're going to have your more nuanced stuff where you could say, okay, like Joe Rogan, right? 50 million people. 50 million people might want, and then if it was like Trump put on like Joe Rogan, it'd be 100 million people. But like those people are looking for that nuanced thing. And I think that would be awesome if they did that. But I think in addendum to what we're doing now, because I do think you need the elevator pitch. I think you need the commercial.
The reason the old establishment is dying. TV is dying.
I don't care if it's TV or anything. I'm saying like 90 minutes in an adult person's life, people that have kids, people that like work, like 90 minutes is already an ask.
Yeah, but dude, no one watches it live. Most people will go back and watch it later. I guarantee you they got from the polling from that night, from TV and internet and all this stuff was from that night. But far more people went back and listened to it after.
Sure.
Or a good chunk of people.
I agree with you, but I do think that you and I, because we're from a younger generation, like view these things differently. I do think we do. I think for a lot of people, this is event television. It is something that they will actually go. They're not going to be connected on. They're not going to be going on YouTube and doing it. They're going to watch it. And then if they don't see it, they don't see it. And they're going to see
YouTube
clips.
number, the internet number is crushed.
Oh, and then they're going to see clips because the people that are the most activated about this stuff, especially with Trump, are people our age and younger. Like it is the 18 to 45 demographic.
I would actually disagree.
And they're more
I think it's actually I would agree with you that they're engaged, but it's actually like some of the oldest people in our country are the ones they're always been the more actively engaged when it comes to politics.
And they're gonna watch it on TV.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah,
they will. But they're old guard. They're old establishment.
Yeah,
those people
still have to deal with that today. Like,
I agree.
I'm not saying in 10 years because the format evolve, of course.
I guarantee you, these
old about right now
had a 3-hour debate to watch. They would watch it. Well, they probably have more time available.
Well, because think about it like this: there's going to be a generation of older people that are your age and my age, right? In 10, 15 years, that are going to be accustomed to that. That is how we are, and then we're going to be movers. We're going to be movers in the economy. We're going to be movers in voting. Like we're going to matter. Our votes and shit are going to matter more than they do probably today, in terms of demographics. But we are going to be raised, come up in a generation of people that is accustomed to that. So
I agree.
So what I would say, I'm not disagreeing with you on like in principle. I'm just disagreeing with you in sense of like right now, today. I think this is what you need to do.
But it's such garbage because you can't tell me you're an implement because they spend a minute attacking the other side and then they barely get time to actually explain their points because at the end of the day, it's a debate. And I understand the importance of having time stamps. That mean it shows how articulate you are, how quick you are to be able to have your idea. And I get that. I know it's a game. But as a person who values information and values intellectual conversation, intellectual debate, I believe that like
that's why I think it would be smart if they did both, man. Like
they should do both.
If they had this, and then Donald Trump was like, "Of course I'll go on Joe Rogan," and then that gives Biden the opportunity to do the same. I don't think they should be on together. I don't think we've talked about this mildly before. I don't think Joe Rogan should be like moderating a debate, but if they all want to come on individually and give their pitches for 2 hours, because they're not going to give them 3 hours. But if they want to do like a 90-minute, 2-hour thing where it's just Joe and them having a conversation, I'd be totally into that.
I would be 100%. I guarantee you, Trump his ego would want him to go as long as it necessary. Like he would, it'd be like a record,
Well,
like it would be.
Fuck it, then he could do that, and then Biden would have the same opportunity to.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I just think it's
honestly why doesn't he do that? Because
Joe Rogan's talked a lot of shit about Joe Biden. So.
Yeah, no, but Joe Rogan's taking the call for Trump. Biden could go on there and prove his case. State your case, man. You got 5 hours to talk. Like, and
the problem I have with these debates, especially, is that the lack of questions that are actually important. Talk about the techocracies, didn't bring them up, how they're suppressing the voices of certain people online, Section 230.
Because these people are part of the cathedral. So they don't want you to talk about that stuff.
I know, but like what I'm saying is like there is in the mail-in voting, like we all know that there's going to be problems. And I was listening to Timcast IRL on YouTube if you get interested, and he had Scott Pressler on, who I like. He's the guy that did all the cleanups in the cities and like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the guy who went to Baltimore and stuff.
Yeah. All over California, Baltimore. Yeah, it's kind of now he's really big about getting people registered to vote. But he had a good point. He goes, majority of people voting by mail are going to be Democrats. He's like, most Trump supporters are going to go to the polls. Mm-hmm. If there's a fuck up in the mail-in voting, it's going to hurt Democrats. Because in last election, California threw out 100,000 ballots.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Well, this is a known thing. I mean, this is one of the arguments, like, because if anything is incorrect, they have to throw it out. They don't count it. That includes like the type of pen ink, the color of the pen ink. Like, there's a lot of crazy shit that certain states have.
Well,
that
like
they require.
He brought up Pennsylvania. I think it was the one he brought up, and in Pennsylvania, it comes in 2 envelopes, and if you only mail in one of them, then it doesn't count.
Yeah,
and they're like, actually,
how
many people?
The Hollywood system today put out a commercial where a bunch of celebrities were quote unquote naked, at least topless, informing people about some of the weird rules that exist in America.
Did you see titties?
Well, no, they were blurred out. Sarah Silverman she did this. She had this the whole time. She's doing this, right? And then at the end, she goes, but it's blurred out. And I was like, that's not a money shot. That's like Japanese. And that's bullshit.
That's a ripoff. Someone can probably go in and pull it off somehow, I'm sure.
Oh, she shows her tits whenever she can, dude. She's like 56 years old.
True.
You know?
There's
Hold on. Go ahead and talk. Yeah, I need you to fill some time for me.
Oh, okay. I think
Kamala. Oh, that was perfect.
That was great. Nasty boys. There's just Kamala. As far as her answers were not answers, most of them. Pence did it a couple times too, for sure. But
of course,
I think on her side more, like when he kind of bypassed the Roe v. Wade with that masterful surgical just cut around that. But yeah, I mean, I thought Kamala was kind of like whatever, like not much, not very impressive.
I mean, this is what I'm trying to discern a bias here. Like, is this because I'm like more like biased against Kamala because I really don't like Kamala Harris? But I would have to say, like, objectively speaking, I'm trying to be as objective as possible. I do think she waffled way more. I think her answers lack substance. Like, she would mention kind of like ideas, but nothing substantive. No like concrete answers. Like, this is what we're going to do. She didn't do a lot of that, and Pence kind of did. He gave out because, I mean, in fairness, he is the guy that is in the position, so they are actually executing on things. They have the power to do things. So I was much more impressed with Pence. Honestly, like, I didn't expect him to be as solid as he was. I thought Kamala was like really struggled with basic shit. And also, and then she starts kind of flailing when you start like trying to retcon history and like just throw shit at the wall when it's like both sides, good people. That was just like, dude, are we still doing this? Yeah. I think I said it when we were watching it. I'm like, are we still doing this?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, it's the same old trick. It's the establishment. This is the problem. This is what I'm talking about. This is why these debates are fucking useless. I know, like, it makes Pence look good or Kamala look good or their side, your side, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you could do a long form debate that's not an hour and a half, and then you could have fact checking in real fucking time. Okay, well, we're going to pull up that video. Pence, Kamala, let's get your reaction. They pull up the video and then they fucking actually show it. And they go, you know what? Boom, done. But they won't do stuff like that. That's what makes something like Joe Rogan so important, is that they can do things like that and it will be widely distributed. And it's like these things are framing these questions in these ways to set it up. You know, Chris Wallace asking the white supremacy question, which honestly was a softball. And he did answer. He said, sure, I'll condemn it. Sure, it just wasn't hardcore enough.
And the problem was, I mean, Joe Biden also added all these addendums and muddied the waters because he started kind of interjecting.
What about the Proud Boys?
Yeah, he started interjecting things. But
that's on Trump. I don't care. That's on Trump.
I think it's on Trump because he could have been like, yes, of course, and then just I'm over it. I'm over the white supremacy garbage. Over it. I mean, honestly though, Chris Wallace was sneaky because he did say like militias. And that's like, well, that's not necessarily
trying to get into Kenosha.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like a white thing. Like militias are not a white thing.
Yeah, there's the NFAC, which is the NFAC or whatever. It's the National something Coalition.
Well, I don't even care about that, but that's not a white supremacist thing.
No, well,
like we know that as just like regular people. Like,
no, I know, but the NFAC is a black supremacist, quote unquote black. They're black militias.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, there are black militias. Yeah, they were marching.
Well, I think it's the National Freeman Armed Coalition or something to that effect. It's something like that.
Okay.
Because they called all slaves freemen after.
I don't really get into that stuff myself. I'm not like a militia. I'm not somebody that would like join a militia or anything like that. But I think people have the right to do that, of course, because there's so many. If people are afraid of that, you're like, what have you been paying attention to for the past 100 years?
Well, that just goes into like Waco and like all these other like stigmas from prior militias and.
Well, they're not. Were they? Do they consider Waco a militia?
No, but I'm saying like armed, religious groups. They fought. Like I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Like Ruby Ridge, like there's like all this stuff, the government and people with guns. It's been definitely stigmatized by certain events.
All their examples prove those people right, which is fucking not a good look.
I thought Kamala's response on her history was actually probably the best answer she gave. It was the best answer she gave when Pence kind of attacked her on what she did to the black community, 19 times more likely to, arrest an African American over white Hispanics, and then she responded by like the body cams and all this stuff. I thought that was like her best response to an attack.
Yeah, but she didn't dispute any of the facts. Like she just
no,
said, like,
I know.
I implemented these measures. Like we have video of her laughing about this shit.
No,
like, it's not
not. I know, but I thought it was the best response. Like as far as anything else I can remember from the debate, I was like, you know what, that was her best response because at least she said something with substance. I mean, these are the things I did to reform.
This is where the bias question comes in because it's also things we agree with. Like we're just like, yeah, it's probably a good idea. But
what does that shows? What does that show for us as viewers? It's not we're like, well, fuck it, because she did it. We're like, you know what? Like that's fair.
That was a good idea. I mean,
that is a good idea, but she wasn't like a pioneer leading it in the front. Like that was happening all over the United States.
Yeah, no. I mean, granted, but credit where credit's due. If you instituted that in the state that you were district attorney of, like good for you.
Yeah, sure.
And that's a good thing.
And fuck all the black people you put in jail. Whatever. Like.
Well, that's because she didn't answer. She did not answer to the allegation.
You can't.
She diverted.
But the problem is the fucking media plays these games. Like they're not going to fact check her. They're really not. They fact checked Biden, I think, once in the last debate, and it was something kind of.
They didn't fact check Pence either, though. I mean, did Pence? But
no. I'm saying afterwards. Afterwards.
Oh, dude, like when Dan went to go pee right after the debate, they were already talking about on ABC News. We watched on ABC News. They were talking about how Kamala won within seconds. Like no discussion, no airing it out. They were already just like, well, I don't know. It's just like Kamala was like twitchy, nervous.
Because guess what, Sean?
Laughing.
That's what. You know what, Sean? I'm really realizing about you that you're getting older. You do like a commercialized product more.
What are you talking about?
You prefer a commercialized product.
No.
Yeah, because like that's what you're advocating for. No, I'm not talking shit. I'm being for real though. Like it's
I think you need to be able to sell yourself in a product. That doesn't mean it's a preference.
Well, I mean, because you kind of prefer Pence over Trump. From how you reacted during this debate. You appreciated his more politician polished version than Trump. From what I could tell.
But it was not just like phony, vapid bullshit. It came from substance. Like that's all I care about. Like, are you actually recording the record correctly? Are you reporting on it correctly?
Right.
That's all I care about.
And
because from talking to you and from like doing my own thing and watching reading and doing my own shit, like I know that Pence is actually laying out the record straighter. He got his message across.
He did.
I think like Trump and Biden, like that was a fucking like let's get in the mud. And I will say this in fairness, I don't think Trump brought it there first. I don't think he did. But as soon as that door was open, he fucking went hog wild. No pun intended. But like, it's not because I think it's about just efficacy. Like, and I just look
Yeah,
at it
but
objectively. I think
okay,
like I'm
I
just like, okay,
understand, but
objectively, like this person is more effective at getting across the actual like
right.
the Trump message than Trump is.
But what do you think Pence makes you feel more comfortable?
No, not necessarily. I mean,
You don't think Pence by
I
his
I was
tone and
I was just
his
talking about. I'm just like specifically critiquing on the debate style.
yeah,
That's it.
well, I understand, but Trump is I believe, definitely dropped the ball in a lot of ways. But the things he were saying was not inaccurate. Where Biden lied constantly, where Kamala tonight lied constantly, or misrepresented, or used the false,
No,
the
there.
false,
I
the
mean, there.
false,
I'm sorry.
the false media narrative
Yeah, I was gonna
that
say the
we've
same thing.
seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the false media narrative that they use to prop each other up, both backwards and forwards, and you're kind of like,
Because
okay,
they know that's in the zeitgeist. They know that's in people's minds, so they are relying on the fact that people just
well,
kind of believe the first thing they read without any kind of investigation.
I don't think it's even that.
I
I
think
do agree that that's true.
I think Pence and Trump actually have a harder, steeper hill to climb because they have their job is to be like janitors and be like, I need to mop up this fucking mess you just made because you're not being honest and you're misrepresenting things. That's a tough place to come from. I think out of the two of them, Trump and Pence, in terms of relative to debates, I think Pence is clearly the more polished politician. He's clearly more prepared. He knew kind of the right things to say to answer Kamala. I would say like 90% of the time, 85% of the time. He got Nasty Boys played a few times.
Yeah, quite a few.
You know, I
Well,
was listening
I think
but
it's well. This is the problem, though. I don't think it's that people don't do research. I'm not saying.
no,
I
people don't have
agree.
time.
I agree and I disagree. I agree to a certain point, but what I'm saying is, people are aware of the story, like of the Atlantic story. Trump, not Trump. Pence missed a real opportunity to bring up the 29 people that have confirmed that never happened. Blah 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 blah.
Of course,
You know,
yeah.
versus 4 unnamed sources, which is complete bullshit.
Yeah, he
That
went
this
with an
is
anecdote, which I thought was weird.
it was a little, yeah, it
I
wasn't a
think
great response.
he's trying to appeal like on a personal level where that's not his job. He's not good at that because he's like a robot. It's like, no, just appeal to me with the information, the facts.
Yeah. I thought, but this is the thing though. This is the real issue, is that the media is lining up to work with the left at this current juncture.
Well, yeah.
But, but this is what will lead Trump to win. I do think Trump it's not a guaranteed victory. I don't believe that. But this is the type of stuff that leads to Trump winning. It's the same smug type of arrogance that we have the power, that we control information, that we dictate and determine what is truth and what is lie. And I think I just don't believe that they're credible. The trust in the media is at 32%, all-time low. Like people, and that's where I kind of disagree with. It's not that people people don't give a shit what they fucking say anymore. I really don't think it's only like, the old guard that gives a shit, like people in their 60s, like 50s and 60s, and people who grew up, that's the only way, versus our generation, who's a lot more technologically advanced with long form content. We like, listening to podcasts and debates and all this stuff. And there's not a bunch of commercials, which YouTube, I'm watching you. I see a lot of those fucking commercials, man. They're coming longer. I had a 20-second one the other day. Never seen a 20-second one.
Jeez.
Pissed me off. And I had to wait fucking 15 seconds. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. But and this is why the old guard is dying, and they're trying to survive any way they can. I did think the Supreme Court packing, that looked real bad. That looked real bad for Kamala. She would not answer. She looked weak. She looked incapable and inept. And she's not really running the docket over there. Like, why would they not just say, no, we're not going to pack the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Why would they not just say it? So I think that was probably her worst part of the night.
Yeah, but that's been the problem their whole time, is that like everybody knows, everybody fucking knows. Everybody knows what they're saying. Like everybody knows that they're just avoiding the question. It's not like because the answer is just the obvious one. Like I don't even know what they're hiding from. They might as well just come out and say it. Honestly, they would probably help them if they just said it. I don't know.
I'm just telling you though, I don't think the racial justice message is going to work any longer. You're seeing it's flailing. The NBA, the commissioner of the NBA, president of the NBA, whatever's in charge, came out. Nate Silver.
Yeah,
I believe is his name.
No more political stuff.
Well, he was like, we're going to be moving forward next year, and because, dude, their ratings are so in the fucking tank. Like it's incredible. They've lost 60-70% of their viewers because of it.
And don't you love that all these principled assholes just immediately fold as soon as their money gets fucked with?
Well, like, dude, but this is the thing.
They immediately fold. That's why, like, if LeBron James had a fucking spine, he would retire. He would say, "I'm fucking out. I don't agree with you racists that don't want to hear the real message." Yeah. And it's just why would anybody listen to them?
Because this is the point, though. This is my greater point is even in corporate capitalism, corporate America, they care about populist stuff.
Well, of course,
that's
what drives sales. I mean,
yes, and that's why it works. People, all these companies that came out, they're gonna quietly have it dissipate. It's gonna go away.
They all do. That's the NFL did the same thing. They're like the first night, we're gonna go hard, and then we're never gonna speak of it again.
Yep. And good. But honestly, I think they look weak for doing it, period. But, I've watched some of the games recently, and I would say, like, at least they don't show it. They may do it in the stadium, but you don't see it. So I don't see it on television or whatnot. I just do believe that this identity politics, talking with someone who was a little bit younger today and kind of breaking down what institutional racism is trying to, prescribe to and what it's actually saying and having like a honest conversation. Because I asked her, something very simple. I'm like, okay, so what plays a bigger role in the discrimination and or persecution, oppression of minorities in America? Is it the system or the individual? What plays a greater role?
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, well, that you can't answer that because there's too many variables. Doesn't that just fucking disprove the entire point? I was like, there are too many variables. There are too many reasons as to why someone will be successful or not. A lot of it comes down to, I believe, personal choice and individual freedom and liberty to do what you want. And I think that's what the conservative side is really going for, individual liberty. Well, it's always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
If someone says, well, Republicans are racist, I'm like, okay, then why is it that as the South has become more Republican, they've become less racist, at least outwardly?
Yeah.
That's a fact. It's a fact.
Because progress, honestly, on a long enough timeline, always skews left. It does. And
no, but it doesn't.
I
disagree.
I think
with
it
that.
does. I think it does. I think it.
Look at
It's
all
England,
about Sean.
It's just all about incrementalism. Like
if
you do it slowly enough, when you try to make giant leaps, it backfires, and then it doesn't work because people reject it. It's just about incrementalism.
Yeah, but the thing is,
people understood to take their time with things and be like, well, I need to change a mind in a generational sense. You get a lot more done. Well, it would take longer, but you'd actually get it done.
That's what the left has done. The left has done that generationally, institutional, building up this idea of institutional racism, white privilege, critical race theory stuff in our higher education. That's what they did. They've been doing it since the 70s.
No, I know that.
So like it has happened that way.
Dan, it's going to keep going that way. Like you got to
I don't think so.
You got to think about just like the everyday mundane policy and like think about where conservatives were 100 years ago and where they are today. Like, and think of the ground that they have given up and how they will continue to do so.
What have they given up?
What do you mean?
What have they given up?
Just the basic concept of conservatism is
Like
pretty
what?
much given up. In terms of what? Like, do you think Trump's a good conservative?
No. Well, no. You're talking Republican, or you're talking about being conservative?
No, I'm talking about conservatives.
Well,
like,
conservatives are not Republicans.
Yeah, yes, they are.
No, the idea of conservatism is slow progression. And being conservative in how we move forward, that has nothing to do with Republican ideals or values or the platform of the party. Necessarily.
That's not true. But because Republicans definitely identify with the ideological perspective of conservatism.
Yeah, but not
that
the
is the part that because in the same way that Democrats ideologically identify with the concept of progressivism.
Well, that's also not true, because Republicans have been some of the most forward-thinking people and progressive party in the history of the United States. Every single major civil rights, between women voting, freedom of the slaves, Civil Rights Act of 1971 and 72, all pushed by Republicans, all denied by Democrats.
Okay.
The idea that Republicans aren't progressive.
But we always go. What I'm saying is, it always skews towards that progressive left notion, and on a long enough timeline, it'll probably get there. There's probably a healthy way to get there. There's probably maybe a positive way to get there. I think when you start doing things like when you start talking about institutional race, critical race theory, intersectionalism, I do actually think those things damage that kind of quote unquote progress. I don't think it's actually a healthy way to get to the places people want to get to. People are slow, and it takes a long time for people to change. And if that is respected, I think you would actually be a lot better off.
You're probably right, but I think it's disingenuous. What we're talking about is the last 30, 40 years, basically since Carter's administration or JFK's assassination. You'd probably go back to around then too.
I'm sorry.
You look at how the entire Republican Party, they became establishment. They were those old guys. What we've seen is a shift where the Republicans between the mid to late 70s, it's 1971, WTF, dude, it's fucking on there with Reagan's administration or Nixon. It was one of two. It was Nixon's administration, 1971, where the Republican Party became the establishment party, supported the establishment, anti-rock and roll, anti-rap, whatever. Like, they had been that way probably before that. But what they did is they had the support of the establishment, the support of the corporate entities.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that has completely flipped now to where the Democrats has complete support.
I mean, I'm just saying it flips every few decades. It really does. I mean,
it does, and you're correct. Where Democrats in the 70s, 80s, and 90s were more liberal progressives.
Yes, that's why they call them old-fashioned liberals.
But they were conservatives. They were more about not opening the doors. They wanted simple things. They did not want.
Well, they were more nationalistic than they are today, because they were a working class party, right? Like, they shifted to that. There was during the 60s and 70s, I guess you could say 50s, 60s, 70s, there was the slow transition where the ideological spectrum of the party kind of shifted a little bit. Republicans became much more overtly big business and anti-regulation, et cetera, et cetera. This is when the unions start coming in real force during the 60s,
Democrats.
70s, and that's a Democratic thing, which ends up being the road to hell is paved in good intentions. I think that's what that ends up being.
Which unions gained too much power, they got too corrupt.
Yeah, because
they became a reflection of the reflection of the thing that they hated.
Yeah, they're lobbyist groups, and I have plenty of experience with actual unions where they're just oh, you guys are not. You're just here to make money for me. You're not here to help me.
Well, and unions can be good in certain aspects. I'm sure there's certain prevailing.
Yeah.
Getting higher wages or something, but at the end of the day, they're still making millions of dollars off of these workers.
And I think for specialized industries, maybe there's a better case for it. But if you're working at a grocery store and you are forced to give a union $60 out of every paycheck, and they can't actually stop you from being fired or anything like that, that's not a good thing.
I don't know about I don't know if I didn't know grocery stores.
I had to. Okay, so I moved to Maryland. I got a job at a company called Peapod, which is like a grocery store warehouse. I had to pay union dues for 90 days without protection of the union because they had made a deal with the company.
Yep.
How is that fucking okay?
I'm not saying
no. What I'm saying is like that defeats the purpose of what you're saying. If I have no protections from you, then why should I have to give you a dime?
I agree, but also the number of employees that get fired in the first 90 days. I mean, it's kind of like a loyalty thing. Like you pay them for a couple months while there's no coverage. They ensure that you're a good worker, and they ensure that you have stability. I can see the logic behind that. Yeah, I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can see the logic.
But the company literally is encouraged then, on the inverse of that, to burn you the fuck out before you get to 90 days, because they know there's 1,000 people behind you standing waiting for the same job.
Right. So don't get burned out and do your job and don't get fired in the first 90 days. And,
yeah, I called out sick one time in my 45th day and I got fired.
It fucking sucks. I don't disagree with you.
No, I'm just saying.
I don't think that's on the union. That's not on the union. That's on the corporate entity.
Yeah,
taking advantage of that.
I think it's both. Well, I think it's both, because if you agree to that system, like, you are also accountable.
The union had to. I guarantee you, what happened was that if I had to put money on it, is the union had to make a deal with the company. That's what they do. They make deals with the company. They're saying, okay, even though we will give you 90 days to be able to fire somebody, and there'll be no penalty to you. I understand that. Like, you should not have to pay as an employee, though. I do agree.
No, I should not have to. Or if it is, it's at a discounted rate. Like, you should not be able to be literally scalping money from somebody that does not have your services. That's
agree.
Weird to me.
I agree. I think it's disgusting.
I don't think. I think if a union exists, it exists. The idea that I have to prove myself to a union that is legal, I am legally required to pay money to from the state. No. Well, because then we're not actually in the contract that you're telling me we're in.
I agree. I agree with that.
So I think it should be a voluntary thing where you can, I want to be in this union. This union can do what it's going to do for me. It should be a voluntary system. The idea that you're literally fucking obligated by certain states to give this thing money so that you can have a job.
Who is Maryland run by? Well, Democrats.
Some of the greatest.
Go fucking figure. Go fucking figure. Were they authoritarian?
I agree.
It's the authoritarian left once again rearing its ugly head, saying, "You will do as I say, not as I do." Okay,
no, exactly. Because, like I said, it's one of these things that starts as a good idea, a positive thing. Like, we want to protect people. We don't want people to get fucked over, because people do get fucked over.
Yeah,
they do. And then it turns into what it is now, where it's like the state's like, no, you have to. There's no fucking choice.
Yes, I understand.
To be part of this. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know. To me, it's not.
It's disgusting. No, it's definitely not okay. But what we're talking about for me is that Republicans have never really changed. And I do think that, yes, you could say corporate establishment and all this stuff, and you could argue between deregulation and overregulation. Is there a good middle area there? I think there is. But I believe through the pathway of the Republican platform, which values the individual, and just like with the unions, that was all about collectivism. That's the greater good. Mm-hmm. Even though you got fired at 45 days for taking a sick day, your money still went to the greater good. That's their view of, the union system that you were partaking in. And it goes down to, it's just fundamentally a fundamentally difference of opinion on how it's more about governance and policy making. And the conservative platform, which I don't want to call Republican, because Republicans, the establishment cronies like Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham.
No, they're not really conservative.
No, they're not. They're just as bad as Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, or they're political. They're like political. They just like to move for politics and power.
No, they're political animals, and it's really not about necessarily like an ideological thing.
Yeah,
it's like Lindsey Graham, team sports to them. I mean, that's what it is.
I don't know about Mitch McConnell for like why he's doing what he's doing. It could be for re-election, which it probably is. Of course it is. I think most people who support this, like even Mitt Romney had to come out and support, like, because they knew it was going to poll bad if he, decided to not support Amy Coney Barrett for the Supreme Court. But I think really what you've seen is something like Lindsey Graham is a survivalist, and he's going to do, like, the only reason we're hearing about the rut because he's in charge of the Judiciary Committee, getting things declassified, investigating shit that's going off the Obamagate conspiracy theory at this moment. The only reason he's doing that is to tide favors over, and even if he does lose this election, that he thinks he maybe will get a cabinet position with Trump. Like, there's only that's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. And we all know that. You can see right through that. Mitch McConnell probably doesn't really give a fuck, honestly. I don't think he really gives a shit. I think he gives a shit about winning the election, but he doesn't give a fuck about pleasing Trump. The only reason he wants to please Trump is for his election.
He's there for the GOP agenda, and they are executing on it. Like, he has been successful on that agenda, and whether Trump wins or loses, he already won for them. Amy Coney Barrett is the fucking nail in the coffin. Like, they won. He won.
Which is why during this debate tonight, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, just like Joe Biden before, not willing to at least acknowledge that they do want fundamental change within our Supreme Court, and at least acknowledging that we are looking at
by not answering it, they are saying that. Because the answer is either yes or no. Like, it's not a fucking difficult question.
I agree. But I do think that's not what the media is going to run with, and they're not,
No, they're not. They're not.
The Fox will probably run with that. That's going to be their big run.
If you walk away from that debate thinking fucking Kamala Harris did a good job, I think you're a little high.
Like one of my buddies, Dan, what's up? I know you're going to listen to this. He messaged me. I'll get back to you, bud. He messaged me and he said the tough thing about politics is they will both avoid and change the subject on things they don't want to directly answer.
And Pence definitely did that a couple times.
I think he did it about Roe v. Wade. That was his biggest.
Of course he did.
Biggest mistake.
Yes,
this is the
that's
thing.
Contentious.
But this is the thing. They are federal level. They don't have the power.
Yeah, but you're giving the correct answer. But Pence decided not to expose his.
No, because at the end of the day, I don't want my. Okay, I agree, but leave that somewhere else. We're talking. That's not policy. He can't push policy.
Yeah, but the Supreme Court, if you have enough people, this is a thing. I don't know if it'll happen.
But hear me out.
A thing.
The Supreme Court is not a political apparatus. Okay, and you can argue. You can argue. It's not. It's not. It can be used by politicians, but I do have faith. Even RBG, I fucking did not like her, and I've read a lot about some of the things she's done, but she was at least impartial on a lot of things. But the liberal bloc votes liberal, the conservative bloc votes conservative, but that's the issue.
Somebody like RGB and Scalia, however you say his name, right?
Oh, really?
Scalia. Scarelli. We covered this. Those are the ghosts that attack the judge in Ghostbusters 2. Scalia, Justice Scalia.
I don't think that's not it.
You know which one I'm talking about, everybody in America?
The fat Italian.
I think those people are both examples of kind of politically motivated, not politically, but maybe ideologically motivated judges. And they kept a balance because they were both there for
But that's the point.
No,
that is why we have the conservative and liberal bloc, right?
I'm the kind of person as an independent that I want there to be a balance. I want there to be constantly an argument. I want there constantly to be a conversation. I don't want any of these battles to be won easily. I don't want that. Mm-hmm. Make the fucking argument.
Yeah, but
based on the argument when it comes to the Supreme Court and stuff.
Yeah,
because it's between them. Make the fucking argument and win.
But this is the thing, and this is the Supreme Court judges don't make arguments. They don't. They might.
That's what it's called when you fucking put forth
there's
deliberation. That's an argument.
There's only two judges that write. It's going to be the dissenting judge or the judge that changed the vote and the approval judge. No, it's not an argument.
Yes,
it's a decision. It's a decision.
Oh, but Dan, it's categorized as an argument, and
it is not legally. It's not, but
legally it is, because you see both sides of what is said, and it does. And if the
I've read extensively about this. It's not classified as an argument. It is
okay.
a decision, and as to why they made the decision, they just have their their reasons for it.
Yes, it's called their argumentation. That everybody argues for their point of view. That's the argument.
No.
That's the debate. That's the question.
The only two judges get to write decisions, and it's the dissenting, and then it's the one of the people from the dissenting.
Is representative of the arguments that are made when they are talking about something.
Exactly, but the one that really matters, honestly, is the dissenting judge.
Yeah,
if there is one,
but they're supposed to be representative of their side
of both ideological arguments. Yes.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that, but I don't know. As far as I read it, that's not how they're supposed to clarify it. But there's enough to be said that our current system and what we saw through Roe v. Wade on is that the Supreme Court was basically stacked from left-leaning judges and the liberal bloc, and the conservatives crawled their way back. And that's just and then it will happen again in 40, 50 years. There'll be another round, and it will bounce back and forth. That's just what's going to happen. But it proves that it works. It proves that it works.
No, anything. It should happen that way. I don't to me that no society is going to agree 100% on every issue.
Well,
it's always going to be a give and take, and I think the best argument should win. I honestly, I really wish in my heart of hearts that they were just objective and honest, and
I think they are.
And there is a philosophical truth that they're all searching for, and can maybe come to a conclusion with. I don't know if that's true. I wish that is the way it was. I don't think it is. But
I'm not saying it's 100% one way or the other, but I do believe reaching to that pinnacle, we have to have faith that these people are going to. It's a big deal if they get caught doing something they shouldn't be. Well, it's a big deal. People have been impeached from the Supreme Court, Sean.
Yeah, I know, but it's such a subjective thing. It's you don't have to be coerced by some sort of outside entity. You can just have an opinion, and that opinion, your personal belief, could override what you interpret from the law.
No, it's called precedent. So even the Supreme Court has to go off of precedents. So yes, they have to.
Your interpretation of that precedent is you can have things, and then you argue your point of view based on these precedents. That is your opinion. That is, and nobody can tell you whether or not you're seeing you're being honest about whether you see that or not.
Well, they have to support it. I mean, they do have to.
No, of course they uphold things like that. But if you have a majority, you can argue against those things.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing though, is Gorsuch has flip-flopped between conservative issues and liberal issues. Chief Justice Roberts, a Bush-era Supreme Court.
Exactly, and we would never impugn him and say oh, your subjective measure of this is not correct. You'd be okay, we elected you to this, so we trust that you are going to at least be honest. Don't be disingenuous. You're going to be an honest person, which who knows?
Well, that's why Ted Cruz is actually gives a really good breakdown as to how the last couple guys we've picked have been kind of fucking duds, because the liberal bloc always is packed with ideologically separate, they are their own ideology, I guess you could say. They are hardcore, and they will Gorsuch, with their last dying breath, they will support Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, because Gorsuch tried to make the argument that he's a constitutionalist. I don't know if that's really true.
An originalist, originalist. I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, but it's those things where. What we're doing at the Supreme Court, I don't know if I 100% agree, but I do find it troublesome where we're kind of doing Sharia law, where it's the interpretation of man versus just what is the plain written text. And you're listen, dude, it fucking says Second Amendment shall not be infringed. Yeah, but end of discussion.
But there are things that have been a boon to humanity. In terms of okay, well, let's look at the principle of this rather than how we apply it.
Like Miranda rights.
Or civil rights, just with black people, right? So there was a long time that people were just oh, well, that doesn't, we're not talking about black people. We're only talking about a certain class of people, certain white people, right? In terms of inalienable rights and who those were extended to. and then we say no. That's not what the principle of this means, and that's not what this.
I don't think the Supreme Court decided on that. They just decided on Title IX.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, when you look at the principle of something, you say no. If this is a principle, it is applied ubiquitously. There is no fucking special consideration. It has to be for everybody and everything. You can't be picking and choosing when this matters. And that was a very important thing that happened.
Yeah, Title IX was good. Anti-discrimination against women and people of color, or discriminate against anyone based on race, gender, or creed, religion, and all that stuff like that is good.
Because it is something that is there. It is actually there if you were to read the text and like actually, I mean, granted, there is this whole notion of like the context in which it is written. It obviously has specific meanings, but even back in the day, if you were to go look at the founders and the people, the authors of the Constitution, these are things that they argued about.
Like, I have the book.
I mean, there's literally, from the time that America was founded to before it, when the colonies were just kind of settling in, these were always contentious issues. Like there was never some sort of parody about these things. I mean, the abolitionist movement was there from like the get-go. It's not a fucking new thing. Quakers.
Fucking Republicans.
Well, they weren't Republicans. Damn. There was no such thing as Republicans.
Yes, there were. What are you talking about?
No, they were Quakers, dude. They were just religious people.
No. Are you talking like?
I'm talking about before that. Like this has been a thing for a very long time.
Who was the first Republican president, Sean?
The first Republican president?
Mm-hmm.
George Washington did.
No, Abraham Lincoln. He was the first Republican president. Before that, it was the Whigs and the Democrats.
Yeah.
But, then because the Whigs became so corporatized and corrupt that they got destroyed. Actually, funnily enough, if you go look back through every election, this is like Republicans took them a while before we didn't really see what we see today. Excuse me, as Democrat Republican. It's basically been this way, let's say 100 years. It's been pretty solidified, but I think it even is less than that. I want to say 80, 70, like 80 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was looking at, there was literally like different parties, like the Pink Coalition Party and like all these weird like little parties that before the Republic, but it was always like, it was like Republican versus somebody and then a Democrat versus, it took a long time to phase out like all these little extra parties and they were primary candidates. Like they were versus the incumbent. I just don't think any of them ever won. I think always a Democrat or always a Republican won after the Abraham Lincoln. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that the current party that is advocating for the betterment of all Americans is going to be the Conservative Party for the foreseeable future. And I do believe that the Democratic Party, I give it 50 more years before it's completely gone, if that, by how fast things move today. There could be another party to come in. And I swear to God, why the fuck did libertarians choose a fucking hedgehog or a porcupine? Why can't you choose something like cool, like a lion or something? Like something strong.
I just wish they would choose a candidate that wasn't like a fucking goon.
Yeah, honestly. But I don't think Trump's a goon. And
I said libertarians.
Oh, well, Joe Jorgensen is, whatever.
George Jorgensen's a fucking joke. She's not even a good libertarian.
No, she's not.
Neither was the other dude. What was his name?
Yeah, and the weed dude.
We don't even know his name. I voted for him too.
Ugh, you disgust me.
But they don't even.
Johnson or some shit like that.
Holy shit! ABC's George Stephanopoulos. A lot of people were noticing some mansplaining going on tonight.
Yeah, you see that coming.
Like somebody wrote, they think Harris lost because they're saying that because they have to provide cover. They have to provide a different.
Well, I mean, dude, listen. The polls are going to be very clear. Pence was definitely the better one, I think. In this.
Listen, dude, I think objectively speaking, yes, 100%.
No, even subjectively, all objectively, he fucking killed it. Like he did it. I saw a guy on Facebook. It's anecdotal, but he said Pence 2020. if anything, I'm guarantee you this calms down people who are afraid of Trump. Seeing Pence brings that sense of like, okay, we like actually have a politician in there, like that can be in his ear, and we know that Trump at least listens to people. He's willing to. He shut down the country, dude. Right there proves it. He shut down the country. That was huge. He did not go authoritarian and fucking do national mandates and all this crazy shit. Okay, like he did a great job as a president and did not overstep his bounds on a constitutional level.
No, and I think we all agree with that. Like it's like this was the moment where you could be like, "Oh, is he the thing you say he is?" And then he
wasn't.
didn't. And then he didn't do it. Like,
and then then you yell at him for it
for not doing it because it doesn't. Because like you said,
we all know.
Like it doesn't matter what he does. They're just going to reflexively take the opposite position, whether it's a good thing to do or a bad thing to do. Well, it's insane. And Dan and I were having a conversation. This would be maybe a good thing to end this on. Mm-hmm. You and I were having a conversation on the phone. I said, if Democrats were smart, they would have been like, of course we want to work with President Trump. Of course we do. We want to be a bipartisan party, and we want to get results. We want to get it done. Trump would have fucking melted. And he would have worked with them. He would have, because that's what he wants to be viewed as. He wants to be viewed as that kind of guy, a deal maker.
Yeah, but don't you think that would have helped him too? That could have helped Trump too.
It could have helped him, and they still could have gotten done what they wanted.
But I guarantee you,
that's like when Mitch McConnell is sitting there fucking twirling his little fucking smoking his cigarette on the fucking porch of his on his beautiful palatial estate. He's smoking a cigarette, drinking a hard lemonade. He's like, we're getting it done, boys. We're getting the GOP's will done because of President Trump. And the Democrats could have had the same thing if they swallowed their pride a little bit and they said, like, they could have been like, well, we're getting the will of the party done. Because Trump would have played ball 100%.
I think Trump would have played ball a little bit more. Because if there's one thing,
100%, dude.
I agree.
He's not like a fiscally responsible dude. Like he would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, you like me, okay.
I mean, but that's a little bit of, we don't know that.
That's a little hyperbole, of course.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying like literally like. I think some of the things that they were asking for was pretty disingenuous and.
Well, right, no. Because they're not asking for realistic things because they're trying to prove a point.
I know that, but I'm saying if they would have worked with them on the wall and, been a little bit easier on that and like maybe, I don't know. I guess it's kind of like something we're never going to know. But I do believe that still would have made, because if Trump would have been the unifier, Obama was the fucking split, the start of the split, Trump comes in unification, like it would look better for him. They thought their only possibility to the election this election, as the midterms proved, they did something right. But if the only path to victory in this election was to view him as a complete and utter buffoon and idiot, and I think this might have been their only chance, because I do believe that they're dying. I believe they're dying. That's just me. Because people like Tulsi Gabbard, why the hell would she ever be shut out? A forward-thinking, beautiful, intelligent. I mean, she's gorgeous. I find her attractive. Those little acne scars don't scare me, like I like them. But like someone who's beautiful, who's elegant, who's poised, who has worked in foreign policy, who has been served in the military, strong candidate, and you're gonna fucking go out and let Hillary Clinton start talking shit about her being a Russian agent and all this fucking garbage, and like you destroyed and then Amy Klobuchar, who was another. I disagree with her. I think she's a fucking crony establishment fucking scumbag too. But at least she was something of like normal. I think if you would have brought a normalcy to this, like someone like Tulsi could probably fucking crush Trump.
I think so too. Yeah, because she's going to be more like spry. She's decisive. She's going to have like specific criticisms. It's not going to be like, man, shut up, man. What are you doing?
It's not going to be the media guard being like, repeat the talking points.
If Tulsi was running against Trump, the media would be behind Tulsi. I mean, that's the facts. I mean,
but I don't think
on Tulsi.
I don't think Tulsi would have prescribed to those notions Because even when she was going after Kamala, who was being highly supported by the establishment in the beginning, she fucking destroyed her.
Yeah, but like some of that's not the choice of the person running. Some of it is the reaction. Like, I mean, Joe Biden can be like a lost old man, but they don't react that way. So there's a certain segment of the population that doesn't respond that way.
Oh.
I mean, that's the truth, dude.
I do believe voter enthusiasm is going to play a huge role in this. I think Hispanic Americans are going to play probably the biggest role in an election year that they ever have. I believe Black Americans are going to play even just as more. It's not a white people election. I can tell you that. This is not a white people election. This is the first time probably in fucking 100 years or whatever, or a long time where it is not up to white people. So white people have decided.
So what you're trying to do is saying if Trump wins that it's not white people's fault.
It's not. It's not going
nice to. Nice move, racist guy. I see what you're doing. Dan's about to shift positions. He's going to be like, I told you guys.
I have never met a Hispanic person that doesn't like Trump.
Actually,
I have never met one.
Because they think he's funny, at least.
No, it's not that. It's machismo. Highly respected in the Hispanic community. Culturally, it's significant to have machismo, to be a little arrogant.
Talking about the fine people at ASCsupplements.com?
Absolutely. ASC Supplements? Oh, yeah. All our fine products right here.
Great. ZB20 at checkout for a 20% off discount.
Check it out, dude.
This is a limited edition can.
There's only 200 left. Only 200 left.
200 left. This
out of 1,000.
It has a week. It has thermogenics in it, okay? And I'm not telling you, listen, I am not saying that it will cure COVID-19. But I can tell you this, COVID-19 does not like the heat.
I haven't gotten it.
Yeah. And Dan lives in a very hot place, and he drinks El Jefe.
All day.
On the reg, he says.
They even got a new product, some nootropics and some sleep aids. Probably going to be coming to the shelves in the next few months. So might as well get in early, dude.
Yeah. Hey, ASC Supplements, if you want to send me some sleep aids, I'd be happy to test them for you.
Perfect.
I could use that stuff, to be honest with you.
ASCsupplements.com, ZB20 for 20% off.
ZB20 at checkout for 20% off, everybody.
And if you comment on the channel, I'll send you a special promo code. Only for commenters. But what you have to do is you have to go and type in ASC Supplements so we know that you're looking for a promo code, or I'm not fucking responding. So figure it out.
Dan is now has partial control of the YouTube channel, so you never know what you're going to see out there. It's no longer just me or Michael. Although Michael, he just would dump these videos being like, Khabib is the greatest, and then walk away like a maniac. But anyways. Do you have any final thoughts, Dan? Like out of 10, I want you to rate both of the debaters out of 10.
Kamala, I'll give her being fucking really nice. I'll give her a 5. Pence, I think 8.5.
Yeah, I would say Pence was a solid 8. I think Kamala maybe like a 4.5 or a 5. I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to look at this objectively. I'm not even trying to be oh, these are my biases.
Actually, I changed my answer. She's a 1. No.
No, I just think Pence had the more substantive answers. For every sort of weird misinformation media narrative thing she said, he was always like, "Hold on a second. I got to take this back. Let's talk." And
that was my main issue.
He did it in a classy way too, though.
He did it very poised, very classy. Never really attacked her. Only attacked her ideas and her.
No, he said you were entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to the facts. And I was like, Nasty boy. Like, you're fucking ready to go. Yeah,
that is some good shit, dude. It was a good time. I will say, I hope the next presidential debates go a little bit better. That's all I can hope. It's just better.
Also, I really do. I hope they do too, or at least they have to be just.
And hey, listen, if you like the post-presidential debates, subscribe, comment. Share if you really feel so inclined. I mean, if you could share, Einstein or like Led Zeppelin before they became big, this is the time because you want to get on the train early because we remember the original.
Exactly. Zoobox is on the precipice of big time. Okay.
Precipice.
on the precipice of it. We're looking over at the Rubicon. We can see the big time rising over the horizon. It's coming for us. We're going to be there for you, be there for us. And anyways, this is about me. The song is about me on my birthday last night when I had too much to drink. Yeah. All right, everybody. You have a great night, and we'll talk to you this weekend. We're not talking about this at all. If you weren't here, you don't get to talk about it. Them's the rules, fuckers. Anyways, I love you, America, and the universe. Oh, you nasty boys.